Hello and welcome back for another ELL remote teaching tip. If you have ever taught English learners in a physical classroom before, then you might have observed this 4-second delay between the time that you issue instructions to the class and when an English learner actually begins implementing your instructions. During those 4 seconds, they're doing this, looking around at their classmates to see what they're doing because they need those 4 seconds to get those visual cues from their peers to either understand what your instructions were or to be confident that they understood what your instructions were. So in this world of remote learning, when our classroom environment as we know it is no longer existent and our environment has been restricted instead to what fits inside those little webcams, then our classmates as models goes away. And our English learners no longer have them to rely on. So what do we do as teachers to make sure that they can still engage and participate in learning in our lessons? This video is all about how you can make your instructions clear, even when your English language learners cannot look around at their classmates to get clues about what to do. So you may have noticed in my previous video that when I demonstrate, I am demonstrating in Spanish. I won't always do that, but when I do, it's because it builds empathy in our teaching staff for the experience of our English learners. It also creates a shared, authentic experience with our students, which means that you're more likely to remember these tips and strategies and then implement them because it's taken it from the intellectual space and moved it into the experiential space. And finally, this experience of doing it in Spanish both reveals the negative consequences of not differentiating for English learners, as well as the possibilities for engaging them when we do make some simple, straightforward adjustments to our instructions. So we're going to start. The first time I'm going to demonstrate, I will not be using any language learner strategies. And while I issue instructions to you, I want you to be trying to understand, what are my directions? What do I want you to be doing right now? Yo les voy a dar 2 minutos para copiar la tabla de la pantalla en su cuaderno. So what were my directions? You can jot it down or you can just keep it in your brain, but I want you to make sure that you do take a moment to reflect. Now we'll do a second take, and this time I will use some language learning strategies. And again, I want you to be trying to figure out what my directions are, what I'm asking you to do. Tienen 2 minutos para copiar la tabla que se encuentra en la pantalla, en su cuaderno. Abre su cuaderno y copia la tabla. Deben tener la tabla en su cuaderno. Now that's a little tricky with the webcam, I will admit, like trying to make sure that what I am demonstrating is appearing because it's a mirror image. But the more we do it, the more we will get used to it. So this time, were you able to understand what my directions were? In case it wasn't clear, I wanted you, the student, to copy in your notebook the place value chart that's on the screen. So what were the things that I did to help you understand what to do? Things that I did were that I modeled what I wanted you to do, as well as using gestures, like to copy from the screen, to copy down. I held up the material needed, and then I even modeled opening up my notebook, writing in my notebook, and then showing what the final product should look like, that my notebook should look like this screen. That was a pretty complex example, but I wanted to start with it because it's one of these things that our language learners can get lost in if they don't have those cues. So some other examples, if we were just writing in our notebook, now I want my students to track the screen again. So I can use gestures like this to get them to look at me, or like, now you're looking at me. Or if I want them to type in the chat, I might make like a simple cue card like this that took me 10 seconds to draw, and now I have it for forever. or like to type. So tecla en el chat abajo. Deben de estar teclando en el chat abajo. So I hope that helped you take away that using gestures and materials and visuals to model are extremely helpful. And as you do this, you can just watch your students and see if they're getting it. And from there, you'll know whether you need to fine tune or adjust your modeling or try something else. Thank you, and I will see you next time.